Hey everyone, I'm Ingrid.
Hello folks, I'm Rick Meekins.
Join us for the next half hour on Aepiphanni Off the Cuff, where we will discuss what's going on in the entrepreneurial community. Okay, so we are now in the third episode. We are so glad and so happy to have our first guest, and this is Gregg Harden that is with us today. How are you, Greg?
Fantastic. How are you today, Ingrid? How are you doing, Rick?
I'm very happy to have you here. How are you, Rick?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Glad to see everybody here.
Yeah, it's been so amazing to see like the first two episodes are already being seen, you know. We have comments.
Yes. Getting lots of love on Instagram. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. We're so happy for it. So this is our third one still, and we are having like a lot of ideas for you guys. We want to bring people that can provide all the value from their experiences. So the first one is, of course, our friend, Greg.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, Greg.
Greg, welcome. Now, I guess I'm assuming that most of you know Greg, but for the few of you that don't, Gregg Harden is a business consultant. He's also an author and a trainer. You're on your third book now, right?
Yes, correct.
And this last book is on?
It's on the strategic strategy planning for COVID. So we call it COVID Strategic Adoptive Framework. How companies should address their current situation based on the impacts of COVID on not only themselves, their customers, and their employees.
Awesome. Sounds good. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you a few questions. You'll give us some great answers, some great feedback. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. Ingrid, take it away.
Okay, so Greg, I think that in terms of those, all the situations that has arisen thanks to COVID, I mean, we have been experiencing a lot of things from all the areas, industries, countries. I mean, we've been like really affected in a global level, right? So I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts on the impact of COVID on businesses in overall, and what are your thoughts on maybe affecting in large and small businesses, like differences between them?
Well, that's a great question. COVID's had a very specific impact, unlike a normal decline in revenue or disruptions to the economy. It is systematic and can last not 3, not 6, not 12, but 18 to 24 months. And unlike most economic recessions, which are driven basically by slowdowns in business, this is driven by mandatory slowdowns in business because of a pandemic. And so what has made many companies have to decide is what strategies can we use now, 6 months from now, and 12 months from now, knowing that things will quickly change. They may move forward and then they may move backward if the pandemic is not addressed correctly. So for most companies, they have their current strategy and maybe one backup plan. But now they need to have 3 or 4 different strategies to address different levels of customer engagement in their actual stores or their restaurants or through buying services or their products. So if you look at small businesses, and let's use restaurants as an example, they've been impacted significantly from the standpoint of many people think 30 to 40% may not even survive because they are based on having customers at a 80 to 85% occupancy rate. But in most places, COVID is forcing not only locales but businesses to drop that kind of customer base to 25% for a period of time, then maybe opening up to 50% so they can have social distancing and be able to manage any type of virus that might spread. Now, if a company needs 85% to be successful, 50% is going to put strain on their bottom line. And most small businesses do not have the wherewithal and the savings or the financial structures to weather that type of storm. For large companies, you're seeing that they've gotten a significant amount of money from the government to hold on to employees to minimize disruption in the workforce. But even with the airlines in the United States, that hold on employee disruption and layoffs only goes through October with their current package. So the larger corporations can go to the credit market, get more funding, and they can kind of weather the storm in general. Some, like the airlines and also the cruise ships, where you have still a congested amount of people, may have difficulty kind of climbing back out of this doldrums that we're in right now.
Yeah, totally seeing that. So what you're essentially saying is that, we need to, as business owners, I mean, we need to think differently about how we approach planning in general, right?
Not only planning, but execution.
Okay.
And typically before, when you planned something strategically as an organization, you might come up with an idea, you might vet that through multiple levels of the organizations, you might test it, pilot it, and then roll it out.
Mm-hmm.
But with COVID, you've got to go from thought to implementation quickly and learn from any type of negative impacts. Maybe that strategy doesn't work, we need to rework it, but have operational structures in place to adapt quickly, much more quickly than most companies are used to.
Sure, that makes sense.
So I guess that in your book, you suggest or you build like a framework type to address these issues.
Yes.
Tell us more about it.
So in the book, I talk about stages of COVID from, phase one, where we went from 100%, let's use that term loosely, customer engagement in the marketplace, down to 15%, 0% in certain places where we've kind of shut everything down. And I talk about the slow growth out of that, to 25%, 50, 75%. And maybe for some organizations or entities only getting back to 85% customer engagement, because people will look at new ways to do what they're doing in the past. So for instance, you look at a lot of services or Christian services being held online. Many people may not go back to the actual church. You look at a lot of people using Netflix as a way to stream video and movies. They may not go back to the theater at all. So that's kind of the framework of the phases. Now across those phases, there's 4 very specific entities or parts of the business that have to be managed, right? First, there is the customer. What do they need to feel safe in this COVID environment? For the employees, what do they need to feel safe not only from the COVID and any of its impacts, but how is the company going to make me feel safe? Are they going to keep me around? How are they going to take care of me if I get sick? Are they going to lay me off? Are they going to bring me back quickly? And then we look at what I call business adaptability. And we talked about that earlier. How quickly can a business adapt to the market with customer engagement going up and going back down potentially? And the fourth is, kind of really important, is the strategic communications. How do we make sure as an organization that our customers, employees, our partners know what we're doing, how we're providing safety, and how we have adapted to provide them not only a safe environment, but an optimal environment for them to participate in our service or to purchase our product.
Gotcha. What kind of businesses right now do you see that are succeeding? And I mean, what are they doing? What's making the difference for them?
We have some businesses that are succeeding because where they were trying to go in the business model to the future, it just happened faster. So you look at a Netflix or a Disney Plus, they've been trying to move to individuals purchasing services, movies, and videos online for many, many years. Now with COVID, you've had a lot more adoption of that model. So they've done very well. You also look at some of the service industries directly impacting the home. As you have more people working from home, they need more services at home. So you have not only Home Fix It, you have how do you set up my office, you've got computer companies where you need more computers for your workforce to work from home, you've got video companies who are making it easier for people to stream Zoom, audio mics. You go into a retailer now, electronic retailer, they're out of mics, they're out of cameras, they're out of lighting because of what's happening currently in the business market.
Okay.
That's very interesting. But I don't know what you think about this, but I've seen, actually for me, I've been one of the fortunate type of people, but I've seen also there's a lot of positive things that have arisen. So are there any positive things that you think that have arisen during this pandemic?
Well, I think, back to one of my earlier points, certain things have been moved forward faster. So you look at doctors and hospitals, because of the pandemic, having to stop elective surgeries, stop office visits, moving more to virtual visits for individuals. And they may have, in the past, been 25, maybe even as low as 15% of their actual patients would use virtual visits. Well, now that number's up to 85, 90%. Right. And for many of those patients who in the past would not have wanted to do that, now they see the benefit of not having to commute an hour to somewhere, wait an hour, and lose half a day or a whole day for an appointment. So there's a natural benefit to them with this new model that's out there. Secondly, I think for certain individuals who may have had trouble at school, right, this is a difficult situation, but working remotely may be more beneficial to them because all they have to do is focus on the work. They're not focusing on the environment in which they're in. They're not have to focus on the kids in which they're participating in, and they feel freer to actually be themselves. There's always this concern with students that they're adapting to the room in which they're working in and not wanting to look like an outlier. So they don't actively participate. They don't maybe try as hard as they should have. So in this environment with that more one-on-one teaching that they can get outside of the online courses, some students are doing much better.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I mean, speaking about school, I mean, school year's beginning. I mean, what are your thoughts on what's going on and really, I mean, what's going to happen?
Well, I think everyone believes that certain students need an environment that encourages learning and encourages them to be able to adapt and to work with other people. But in this current environment, with what's happening, it's really not safe if you are trying to bring back 70, 80% of your classes back to on-site teaching. Yeah. There's simply not enough room, not only within the classrooms, but with the hallways. When you're trying to do lunch, you're simply going to spread this virus quicker. Right. So what they can look to do is start not only with online courses, which they did at the end of last year, but what the schools should be doing is adapting their model to teach their teachers how better to deliver online training. I think that's one of the major issues now is parents want to leave their kids at home for online training because it may not be as powerful because teachers aren't used to teaching that way. Mm-hmm. So if you can start online and maybe in hybrid where you only have a portion of the students back that you can manage for the population that you need to be able to manage within your four walls effectively with ventilation correctly, spacing correctly, being able to walk the halls and switch teachers, then that's a possibility. But I do think for many schools are rushing back too quickly, and it's going to cause an issue. I believe in many areas it's going to fail. It's going to fail quickly. You see already certain schools have opened and closed within a number of days, not weeks. Yeah. And you're having populations up to 10, 20% affected and quarantined by this pandemic.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, just thinking about it, I think our kids actually had one of the schools that were shut down. We decided to keep our kids home. I think that was a good move. But you've got kids that are actually in college. I mean, what are you feeling about their situation?
Well, for some of the colleges, one of my kids in college, all their classes will be online. Mm-hmm. The challenge is once you get kids, even though their classes are online, back to the campus, things will happen. Kids will be kids, whether it's middle school, elementary school, or college. They will congregate en masse, and things will spread. Yeah. So that's concerning for me. Some schools, I think Harvard has tried this newer model where they test everyone before they show up. They basically quarantine the entire school. So they only have a certain percentage, 25% on campus. They're being tested on a weekly basis, the students and the faculty, not allowing individuals onto the campus who are not students. So they have more of a bubble in which they're working in. I think that's a perfect model, but a very expensive model. Yeah. So I'm happy they're going to get some education. I'm a little concerned about the environments they'll still be in.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So there's been, I think that there's a lot of shift in things, right? Like it's not only in businesses, it's not only in lifestyle habits and all of that. It's also for let's say governmental like institutions. I mean, for schools, like they have to start thinking. I hope they started thinking on a big contingency plan and shift on the way that they planned things.
We have certain school boards who have been able to create very adaptive models where it's on-site, it's hybrid, and it's online. And what they've been able to do is kind of stage it. So they're going to bring in kids, maybe the younger kids in elementary school who don't have the issue of changing classes. And we're going to bring in only a portion of those so we can control it. We're also going to bring in kids maybe with special needs who need that additional support in the classroom. We're going to start there. Then when we move to the middle school and the high school, they're trying to adopt a model where they can only bring back portions of each grade to, again, control the growth so they can actually better manage what's actually happening in the school system. Yeah. You see systems down in the South and the West and the North having almost 4 or 5 different models, there should be more consistency. The evidence is pretty clear as to how it spreads, the impact on children and how they can bring it home, especially to multi-generational households.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to get more control over it. But again, as you were mentioning, Ingrid, we need more help within the government, and government is not known to be the most adaptable business models.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty specific and pretty stringent, and this is really tested on how they actually manage their operations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me add one other thing too, because for the government and specifically on the schools, to really make this happen, you need more buses, you need more bus drivers, you need more people to serve the students their food. All these things cost money. Mm-hmm. So the government really needs to help out the schools to be able to fund these things to make the environment safe.
Yeah. Now, you said earlier, you were talking earlier that you expect this to be 18, 24 months, and I mean, obviously it's going to impact, the future. I mean, what does that look like? I mean, what do you imagine the future is going to look like, after all of this is, I don't want to say done, but, we get to, oh gosh, I'm going to say it, the new normal.
Well, I think what you're going to have is many businesses are going to adopt a much larger role of work from home. They're going to see the benefits of how their employees are currently working that way. They're also going to see the cost benefits of reducing their footprint. That cost basis directly to their bottom line that they can take. Sure. You're going to see individuals, I believe, become more understanding of the need to wear masks and social distance as a way to just participate in the economy and to go around in society. So I think some of the stigma will start to fade because it'll be necessary for everyone to actually enjoy what they're doing. I think the third thing that's going to happen is as we get to potentially a virus 12 months from now, in the interim, I think we'll have much better ways of managing the impact of COVID on individuals, kind of bringing down the deaths per 1,000 that occur, based on cases. I think we're going to be able to find different solutions to manage some of the outcomes. Hopefully, I think that's what we'll be able to do. And 12 months from now, I think we'll still be in an environment where people are more conscious of distance. I think there will be more tolerant of people with masks. And I think working remotely will become more of a thing of a norm. And many of the models that companies have made, as i.e., purchasing your car from home, moving more of their production online for much more Disney, much more streaming to become normal. And I think many people, even when COVID is gone, will opt for some of the solutions from the medical industry as far as virtual visits, using remote monitoring devices to kind of manage their health.
Okay.
So from this, like based on what you're saying, I'm thinking like all of the changes and the shifts that we were just discussed. For example, I've heard that there are businesses that are going through mergers and acquisition processes. There are shifts in mobility too, like there's no room for Uber or these like apps for transportation, so there's going to be a lot of shifts. So like from our world, from the small businesses and small and medium businesses, entrepreneurs, or how do you envision the after COVID new business mindset to be? Do you think it's going to change, or how do you imagine that it's going to happen?
Well, I think that what you have is for small to medium-sized business, the one that succeed and survive will have really changed the way they look at their customers. Right? I think you're going to have to survive this marketplace. You're going to have to be much more engaged with your customers and their needs and your value proposition to that customer to get them to purchase from you. You'll have to learn better how to price your products and services to be profitable. And with less customers coming in, you're going to learn how to be more flexible when issues arise to adjust quickly to the environment. And I think you're going to learn how to partner differently so that you can either offset costs or grow market for your products and services. So I think if small, medium-sized businesses think that way, I think they'll be well served in the future. I think it's important to see some of the things I mentioned before, these changes in the economy, of how is that going to impact me and services I can provide. If more people are working from home, what does that mean to me as a retailer? What types of clothing do they need? What does that mean to me as the downtown deli shop? How do I need to sell my products? If people are going to be doing virtual visits and having much more monitoring of information in their homes, what does it mean for network security for your home itself? Who's going to handle those services for you? Well, those are little niches that you can start to look at, because when it changes, there will be opportunities.
Yeah, new business opportunities.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I like that. I like that because what you're saying is, I mean, that's the whole idea of the digital type of businesses right now. It's human centered, right? Like it's a customer, it's the people that you're working with. I mean, it's all about us in the middle, even if you're buying or if you're part of the team. So
you're right, but I think once a business gets to a certain size, they think they know who their customer is. They believe they know the best products and services, and they think they're sure about how they can price their product to be profitable. Now, when the market changes and you have to really reach into that customer and say, what exactly can I do to keep your business? What services do I have now? What else could I be providing you that I'm not providing you that may add to my shopping cart as you exit that brings me profitability? Mm-hmm. Also, how am I going to work with my employees and my partners differently? Those two groups, employees and partners, may actually help you find different markets as well. But when anyone is happy, as the term fat and happy, you don't notice everything around you because you're just satisfied where you are. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a great idea for customers to really figure out what is it they really do, what do customers really want, and what's the value of that to them.
Gotcha. You know what, if you don't mind, I mean, you've developed this model for us. Would you mind kind of walking us through, like, I'm a restaurateur, kind of walk me through how I would apply the adoption model, or what that might look like, how I'm going to be thinking differently to make sure I'm in business in a year.
Well, I think
or at least increase the likelihood, I should say.
When we talk about this, you're trying to survive, right? We're trying to struggle, and we're trying to find a way to get to safety and then eventually to succeed in financially growing a business. For a restaurant right now, if I will go back to the beginning of the model, you went from everyone's there to no one's there. And at that point in time, you had to decide, how much funding do I have to last how long with no customers, right? And then when you look at the model, you start to see that, okay, it's going to be several weeks out that they'll start to open up the market to 25%. If things happen well, they're going to allow 50% of the customer base to come back, and then probably 75%. And then they'll probably open it all up. Mm-hmm. Understanding social distancing, how people kind of adhere to the rules. So as a restaurant, I need to understand how and if I can make money at 25%. Maybe I can't make money with 25%. I can see it all. Then do I sell? Do I just shut down for a while and stall until the market comes to 50%? That's a decision you need to be thinking about and pre-planning. Mm-hmm. Or at 25 and at 50%, I just need to change my menu, my hours, and my products so that I can better price, so I can potentially, using this term, burn less money per month. I may not be profitable, mm-hmm. but I may not be losing as much money.
Right. And
then understanding at that next level of 75%, what does my product and my service mix look like mm-hmm. to be successful at that time frame? And by looking at that, how that plate or your basket needs to look to be profitable at each level, you can better manage the steps in between. What's the staffing levels I need? Right. Do I need full-time, part-time? How do I maybe partner differently? Maybe I need to take my products and sell them, outside. You see many places up north where they're opening up the sidewalks. Government is allowing this to happen. Have an outside dining. Yeah. Maybe I need to have a better, more robust delivery service to my best customers, so that they don't have to come to me. I can come to them.
Right.
Maybe I need to find a way to partner with someone to deliver that, so it's a lower cost than some of the current models of delivery service solutions, so I can make money on it. So I think when you're thinking through how this may all happen, and then you already understand if there is a dip because of an outbreak, you already know what your model needs to look like at 25% and 50%, and how you need to adjust personnel, hours, and product mix.
Excellent. And you talked about communication throughout that model as well. I believe you're talking about like customer communication, employees. What do I need to be thinking about there?
So if you're thinking, I've gone from 100 to 0%, I need to say, hey, do I have a current customer list that I can reach out to let them know exactly what's happening? that I'm going to be shut down for 2 weeks, or that I'm going to be opening for only delivery, or here's my new set of products that I'm going to be serving to you at these new price points. And being able to reach out to them directly, either through phone or social media, to engage them, to let them know what's going on, how you've changed your store operations to make it safe. Mm-hmm. The same thing with the employees, understanding how you communicate with them. Hey, we're going to be shut down for 15, 30 days. We're going to probably come back at this level and maybe only 50% shifts at the beginning. How does that work with you? Is it better for you in the interim to not come back because of the current benefits that exist, knowing that we'll need you back in 3 months? Right. And also be communicating to your partners, who might be your financiers, there might be your individuals bringing you products, right? So they need to know what you're doing. If your door is just closed and they think you're shutting down for good, but you're only shutting down for 2 weeks, you make sure you're communicating that too, so people understand where you are in your model and what your plans are, so they can help you, because everyone is in this to make some money. So it's better for them to get some money from you than to get no money from you. So having open communication is always the best thing to do.
Yeah. This is very, very interesting, Greg. I really appreciated that you accept our invitation, because I hope that all our followers and clients and all our community, can take it, because it's really I feel it's like a guide, you can easily adopt, you can easily go through and just implement it.
Well, thank you for giving me the time. You can always find us at hardengps.com. If you need anything else from us, we try to help businesses think strategically, operate efficiently to really build their best business.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Sorry. I didn't know we have extra guests. I see 2 guys behind you that are looking at us too. So please introduce them.
This is Albert, the alligator. He's here to see you guys. Hey, wave, Albert.
Hey, Albert.
And then over here we have Alberta, the cheerleader.
Oh,
so
that's cute.
My 2 gator friends, Albert and Alberta, wave. Say, go gator, go gator.
Do they have a story behind it, or is it you, or is your son?
Well, my family, most of us went to Florida. I'm a graduate. My wife's a graduate. My son's there now, and Albert is the mascot, and Alberta. So we have the 2 mascots for the university.
Oh.
I won't let them kiss because they're platonic friends.
Too funny.
That's nice.
Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate the time.
Oh, we appreciated having you here. And give us your website address one more time.
That's hardengps.com.
Just HARDENGPS.com.
That's exactly it.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Greg. Thank you all of you for listening to this episode. I'm just glad that you were here listening to us, and please don't forget to follow us and Greg included, Albert and Alberta.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening to the show. We hope that you've enjoyed it.
We would love to hear your feedback or review. If you loved it, drop us a line. Let us know what business topics are on your mind. We'll make sure to talk about it in an upcoming episode.
If you have any questions or you would like to be featured on the show, message us on social. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Aepiphanni. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks again for listening. We look forward to seeing you next time on Epiphany Off the Cuff.